Hello everyone and welcome to Community Force webinar. As you all know, my name is Mehreen Mirza and I will be facilitating today's session. I'll also be answering your questions during the dedicated Q&A breaks. So please don't hesitate to ask your questions throughout the session. We want this to be as interactive and as helpful to all of you as possible. With me is our amazing Christine Smith, who will be our trainer for today and will walk us through all the key areas of today's topic. Now, before we get started and while everyone else is still joining, let us show you a few key features to help you make the most of this webinar. Now, as you can see on the right-hand side of your screen, there is a panel with an orange arrow. You can use this orange arrow to collapse or open the panel. To ask questions, simply type in the question area and click on send or enter. We'll do our best to answer as many questions as we can, either by typing them in or verbally during the Q&A breaks. If you miss answering any of your questions, we'll follow up with our responses via email after the webinar. Also, a PDF copy of today's presentation is available in the handout section. Click on the handout title to download it. This handout contains links to individual help guides and knowledge-based articles for each of the topics that we are covering today. Also, for a smooth experience, everyone has been placed on mute to minimize any background noise. Let's just see. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Since most of you have joined, let us get started. The topic for today's session is managing your evaluation process for the one-to-one application process. With that said, I'll hand over things to Christine. All yours, Christine. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the session.
And thank you so much, Maureen, for that fine introduction. So like she said, we're going to go ahead and get started with our webinar today. And just a brief introduction, this is going to be covering an overview of how to monitor your evaluation process with a one-to-one application process. That's when we have one application form with a single funding source attached. So with that being the case, usually when we do a one-to-one training, we're predominantly on the grant site. But no, if you are a scholarship user, it is the same process for scholarship users as well. Same screens and same processes for doing this. So as part of this training, we're going to review how to monitor your reviewers as they're reviewing. So we're going to look at how to see the final scoring results from your reviewers, and then how to see scoring results for that automated scoring. If you've set up automated scoring, how to see those results as well. So who's going to benefit? Of course, this is going to be any of you administrators who are responsible for reviewing the evaluation results. So once your reviewers, you've turned it over to your reviewers and you're monitoring what is happening with your reviewers, where they are in the process. If you're that individual that's monitoring all that and then reviewing the results, then today will be of benefit to you. So of course, what is a one-to-one application process? Well, just like we mentioned, that's when you have just that one application and you have just one funding source tied to it. So when the applicants, they submit their application, you only have one pool of money, and it's the same pool that you're using to award your applicants in a one-to-one process. And the topics we're going to be covering is reviewing your committee member status. So what's the status? Where are they in the process? Then we'll go over a reviewer card scorecard PDF, excuse me, and how to see that. That's just the PDF of their scorecard. And then if you're using the submittal feature, how to unsubmit a reviewer's submitted results. So maybe they've submitted and then they reach out to you and want to unsubmit and re-enter some scores. There is a means that you can undo that submittal for them. And then there may be occasions when you need to add scoring for a reviewer. So how do you do that? So we'll cover that as well. And then we'll take a quick break. And then after that break, we will proceed and we'll go over reviewing the final scoring results. So once everyone's done, how do you see those final scores? And then the automated scoring results report, we'll go over that so that you know how to see those scores from your automated reports. And then also we'll talk a little bit about ad hoc reports and how to get ad hoc reports based on scoring tasks that have been completed. And then we'll take a final break, and then we'll go over any final questions, and then we'll close the session for today. So to go ahead and get started, let's start off with our first topic, and that's going to be reviewing committee members' status. So the review committee member status functionality is a special report that we have that displays the current status of all the tasks that you have assigned to your committee members. And so this is a nice feature because it allows you to monitor your reviewers as they're reviewing. As they're reviewing, you're going to see how they're scoring the applicants, where they are in the process. You've turned it over to maybe, a handful of reviewers, and you're wondering, who's done, who isn't completed. You can actually monitor that through the system. So to do so, I'm going to go ahead and jump to my site here. Again, remember, I am on a grant site, but if you're a scholarship user, you're going to notice it's the same screen. I'm currently on my home page. So I'm going to select the application form. And then once you select the application form, it's going to take you to the Manage Application screen, but you're going to be working in the area called Evaluations. So I'm going to click on the Evaluations. And then once you're in the Evaluations, the first screen you come to is that task setup. So that's all the tasks that you're going to be looking at in the review process. Now, one thing you want to make note of, as you notice here, I have multiple tasks showing on the task screen, but I'm going to go to the review committee status, which is right here. This is where we want to look at what's active at the time. When I go to this screen, I'm going to click on it. You're going to see I only have about 4 tasks showing. The reason that is because I'm looking at the results and I've turned off tasks that I don't want to see at this time. Maybe like we see here, I have 2 pages of task cards because of course when I cloned all these task cards. But when I get to the review status and the review results, I'm only seeing the task cards that I have that are marked display on review reports as yes. Everything else is going to be turned off because I don't need to see it. So I've turned everything else off except one I want to see at the moment. So when I'm in review committee status, I want to see all of my active tasks. Maybe I have multiple committees reviewing and I want to see how they're all reviewing, where they are, and so forth. So when I click on the review committee status, of course, this is the report we see. And in this report, we're going to see how many assignments were made. So these are all of the assignments of every applicant to every reviewer. So maybe I don't have 99 applicants, but maybe each applicant has multiple reads. So that's why you're going to see these higher numbers here. That's how many have been assigned for that specific task. So I have 2 tasks that I've assigned and 2 tasks right now that I haven't assigned. So that kind of tells me, okay, I have these 2 I'm still working on. I haven't turned this over to my reviewers. Over here, this incomplete, this is showing us all of the reviews that have been assigned to my reviewers, but they haven't been completed yet. So I'm seeing right now 96 applicants, 96 reviews that I've turned over to my reviewers haven't been completed. And then the completion status, I'll see, okay, 3 applicants have been reviewed. And of those 3, I have the review submitted functionality turned on. So I'm seeing how many of those reviews have been submitted. So I can get a nice big picture here. I can see, okay, my health review is completely done. So now I'm ready to look at the scores. But on the committee review, I'm seeing there's still a lot to be done. So maybe when I'm looking at this, I might say, okay, let's go and see who's done what. So I can just come over here to this task name, click on the committee review title, that review title, and that will drill down to the listing that will show me all of the applicants and every single one of the committee members that have reviewed those applicants. And then so of course I saw that there was 3. So what I can do, I can come over here and I can see the completed row here, this column, and I can see, okay, this one's 100%. These aren't done. I can actually click this drop down arrows here to do the sorting, and I can sort everybody up. And now I can see, okay, now we have all three. These are my 3 completed. Over here is the submittal. There's my 2. It showed 2 submitted, so I know those 2. So I know these are the only 2 reviews that have been done, and I can see Maureen's done everything, but she just hasn't submitted this final review. And then of course the other ones I can look, okay, Christine's been doing her reviews. There's another one down here. So I can kind of see where everybody is, and then I can see Kathy hasn't done that one, and then I can just kind of scroll through page to page and see where everybody is. Then of course I can export this to Excel, and if I want to send an email, I can copy their email address and then send them an email outside of the system and say, hey, we're getting close to deadline. I noticed you haven't gotten your reviews yet. Please go in and do so. But that would be an email outside. I can't come here and actually send an email to them. This report's also nice because what it does is you can export this to Excel when it's completely done, and you can get the final scores for all of the reviews. This is a nice report. You can export it. You can see how every reviewer, what the total score was for every single one for that specific applicant. Now I'm going to bounce out here, and I'm going to go into this one here because this one's completely done. So once it's completely done, I'm going to click on the task name. And now I can see everyone's 100%, everybody's submitted 100%, all my scores are here. And so now maybe I want to drill down even further, and I want to see how the reviewers have actually reviewed those applicants. So if I want to look at the score sheet, I can actually come over here and I can click on this column that says score sheet and click on the score sheet. And when I click on that score sheet, it will take me to that reviewer's score sheet. It'll show the reviewer, it'll show what the review was, and it will show the scores that they've entered. Now, while I'm here, you're noticing I can't come in here and make changes to this because I'm not able to I don't have the ability to do that at this time because I am the admin and I can't make changes to this. Now, in a few minutes, we'll show you how you can do that, of course. So now also I wanted to show you, this is how the reviewers see the application when they're doing the review. Depending on how you have it set up, I have it set up to not be a separate link. I just have it opening up right next to the scorecard. And so last time we talked about setting up the review process, and in that setup, we talked about in application settings under general information, there's that setting where reviewers can see each other's scores. So I wanted to show you on this scorecard how the reviewers see each other's comments. And so you'll notice in this review preview that I have of the application, they're seeing this application form here to the right. They're scrolling through each section. And at the very end of this report, you're going to start seeing here's the committee review for Maureen and then how she scored. I can keep going through, and as you go through, you're going to see there's separate sections for each one. And then as they start scoring, it's going to start showing their scores here off to the right. So here's one, they've completed this review, and so you're going to see those scores. So that's when that's activated and turned on. This is how they see each reviewer scores, the task they were assigned in and the reviewer that it's doing the review. They're going to see a section for each one of those for all of the reviewers. Now also over here you have the admin PDF where you can get that PDF of the application form, but you're going to notice over here, this is how you get that reviewer scorecard PDF. So the reviewer scorecard PDF, of course, is going to give you a PDF of the score. So I'm going to click on this and it's going to download it. And then you can click on that, and then this is how you get that PDF, and then you can save a copy of it or print it however you'd like for that specific reviewer. And you would need to go in on each reviewer's review on their scorecard to access this PDF. And then the reviewers, just so you know, they also have this ability on their side. They have that same button to where they can get a copy of it as well. Now we're going to talk about a little bit about your reviewers when they submit, and a lot of times they'll submit, and then maybe after they get done submitting everybody, they go back through and they realize, you know what? Excuse me. I didn't want to give that individual that score. I made a mistake. I need to go in, and I can't because I submitted it. So they reach out to you, say, hey, I submitted this. Can you unsubmit it? Yes, you can unsubmit applicants' reviews. So to do that, I'm going to go back to the site here and get out of this PDF. And I'm going to go to the review committee status. I'm going to click back in on that because it's the very first click. The very first click, the very first screen, you will see a thing that says select reader. So let's say here in my health review, Suzanne reaches out and says, hey, I need to resubmit this. I need to change the score on this individual. Can you go in and unsubmit them? I'm going to say yes. So what I did is, I know it's Suzanne. So as you notice, you don't see the select reader. You have to be on this screen here to see the select reader. So I'm going to go into select reader, and it was Suzanne that reached out to me. So once I hit select reader, I can change my identity. So if you noticed when I went out here, it shows me as community force support. When I hit select reader, I'm going to change my identity. I'm going to log in now as Suzanne, and you'll notice it switched, and now I'm logged in as Suzanne, and all I'm seeing is the access that Suzanne has. So of course I know, okay, Suzanne, I know which application, it's this 2025, it's her health review. I'm going to look here, I can see all the assignments she's been given. I'm going to click on the correct application form that I want to make my adjustment to. And so here I see it, and then she said it was John. She told me John was the one that she wants to undo. So all you have to do then is come here and hold on here. I think I forgot to hit submit on that last one. So I'm going to switch back here so I can become community force. I'm going to go in on that health review, and I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to mark as not submitted, and then that releases it, then no longer submitted. And now I'm going to go back in and go to the review status. I'm going to go to select reader, and now I'm going to switch to Suzanne. And now I'm going to go into the application form, and now we're going to see, okay, here is the one that's not submitted. So here's the one that says not submitted. And so since I'm logged in as Suzanne, I can actually go in on any of these applicants now that I'm logged in as her and make any adjustments necessary. So maybe she said, hey, can you unsubmit Gary and then make a change to his scoring? I can say, yes, I can do that. So here, all I have to do is now I can go into Gary. Once I go into Gary, I now have all these buttons here where I can make changes. Maybe she wanted to make his score 32, and so I can make that adjustment to the score, and then I can hit save and exit, and then make that adjustment. Now, in order to resubmit it, I do have to do it from this screen. So I will have to come over here, select that line again, and then hit submit to resubmit it for her. And so that's helpful because a lot of times, sometimes maybe a reviewer, they're reviewing, maybe you're doing maybe an offline review, and then they lose their computer, or maybe they lose internet connection and they can't go in, and there's a deadline, and so maybe they need to they can send them to you so that you can enter those scores for them as well if need be. It might not be something you recommend, but there is the opportunity where you do have the ability to do that. So of course, once you're done making the changes, then you can just come right back up here. I'm still logged in as Suzanne, so I won't be able to go anywhere until I switch back. And then once I switch back, I will be logged in again as Community Force, and then I'm back here as my admin user and I'm logged in. So that's where we're going to go ahead and break, and we'll take a break and see what questions have come in that Maureen can answer. It's all yours, Maureen.
So sorry, everyone. It took a while for me to unmute myself. Yes, Christine. Okay. The first question is, I do not see the submit button or the submit column on my screen. Well, there is a setting that you'll have to enable from the administration tab. Christine, can we go to the administration tab to show how you can enable the submit option for your reviewers? And if you go to manage site settings, and we go to reviewer settings, yep. See, shows enable submit functionality for reviewers. If this is enabled, then the submit option will work. Okay, so probably this is not enabled on your side. Just make sure that this is enabled. Also remember, once it is enabled, it is going to be enabled on all of your applications, regardless of which application you're running. Another question is there a way to see reviewer comments without opening the review sheet, the review comments or the review scores in an Excel? Yes, absolutely, we can see that. We'll be covering that portion after the break on how to pull a reviewer scorecards and comments into an Excel sheet. Just give me a second there. It looks like there's a question in here. Is it possible to review how to set up reviewers? Tori, we have covered this in our previous sessions. Also, if you click on the handouts, the second last page is where you can find how to set up reviewers in the system. Okay, and if you really need any other help, please reach out to us on clientsuccess@communityforce.com. We'll give you a walkthrough on that. Okay, all right, you're welcome. All right, so that is another question, and one last question. Okay. No, I think I've answered the rest of the questions. Thank you, everyone. Back to you, Christine. Thank you.
Okay, and thank you so much, Maureen, for answering those questions. Good job. So to continue then, of course, we've looked at the results. We're seeing our reviewers. They're done with the review process. So now we're ready to look at results. So where do we go to look at the scoring results? So if I go here, so the scoring results are where you see the results of all the scores that they've entered at for all reviews across the board. So if I go to the site here, and I go back home, and log into the application form here, and then go to evaluations, and then we were in review committee status, which is where we just were, which is showing us the status. But now I want to see the results. So here is review committee results. If I click on review committee results, this is where we're going to see all the applicants that have applied and submitted. This is only going to show applicants that are submitted forward. So submitted under committee review. Once they've gone to committee review and submitted, they'll show on the screen. So you can see this here. So on the screen right now, you're going to notice I'm looking at my applicants. And as I'm looking at them, I'm seeing, okay, Anthony, why is he only showing 33% complete? Or I can come down here on John and I can see, okay, he's only 71% complete. Well, if I come over here to the average score, so this average score here, if I click on this, you can kind of see where it's picking up his scores. So here I'm looking at the screen and I'm seeing the committee review and the health review. So that 224, what it's doing is it's picking up the total score across all of the tasks that are currently turned on. Turned on meaning review task turned on up here in the reviewer task setup. So here it's taking that score, it's adding all of those scores together and then getting the final score based off of the average across all of these reviews. So you notice these two here haven't reviewed. When you're looking at this specific report, it's going to add them and divide them in on this score to give you the average. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 reviewers. So it's dividing this number by 7 to get that average score on the front page. So if I'm here on this screen, I can always just turn this off and just go to committee review. I want to see the committee review, and then I can see how they scored. Or I can come here and then I can go, what was it, health review, and I can see the health review and how they scored on the health review, and then get that. But of course, when I go back here, back to the report, at this stage, it's still going to give me that average. So how do I get just the review results? I just want to see the review results for my health review. So what I do need to do is I need to go to the reviewer task setup, because I know that's the one that's done. And I need to turn off the review results that I don't want to see. So I'm going to go here to committee review. I'm going to turn it off. So you click on the task name and remove this checkbox, hit save and exit. And then I only want the health review, so I'm going to turn the education off as well. I'm going to put display on review reports, save and exit. Health review, I think there was one more. Yeah, the arts and education review. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and leave that on because I know I don't have any reviews yet, because I want to show you when you get to the reporting how this functions as well. And I want to leave that on to do that. Okay, so now I'm going to go back. I've turned everything off. I'm going to go back to review committee results. And now when I'm looking at the results, you're going to start seeing these. Okay, so these individuals weren't part of my health review, but this one here, I have the health review turned on. This is the one we were looking at earlier. That was 224. Now it's 301. The reason it's 301 is because when I click on it, it's only picking up the health review. Now, another thing I wanted to point out when I am on the review committee results screen is you're going to notice that scoring comment column here. So maybe I want to see my health review, and then I want to see on that scoring comment, how did each of my reviewers answer that specific question? Remember, we talked about the scoring comment when we were talking about building task cards. That scoring comment is one question you're allowed to have show on that screen so that you can see a quick reply to that answer. And so here is what it is. We had it on that recommended funding question. And so here we can see, okay, who wants to recommend them? So these 4 are all for it. But of course, Christine just says just partial. So maybe, you know, when we're coming together, we may say, okay, Christine, why are you wanting just partial? What's happening with this? So here you can see that's a nice way to see that. Now, also when I go back out here, I also can see here, I can see the comments, but I do, in order to see each individual one, I have to click on that comment screen, and then it'll open up a separate dialog for me to access that. And both of those screens I just showed you, there is an export to Excel where you can export it and get the details. This one would export with this one, but if I wanted more details on each individual applicant, I can click on that score, and then from that score, I can come here and I can export this and then get more of a detail of it as well. So you can see that. So that is how to get the results for the final scoring results. The next thing we want to talk about is the managing the automated scoring report. And I apologize here, for some reason I've got a new computer and I am seeing things on one screen, but it's not showing them on the screen I wanted to show. Okay, so the Manage Automated Scoring Results Report is if you've set up automated scoring, which we talked about that in our last training session. We set up the automated scoring, but there's actually a report that will give you the total of the automated scores. So when we looked at the review results we were just looking at, that's only giving us the scores for the committee review. The automated scoring report is going to give you separate scores for all the scores that were set up based on how applicants answered questions and had that automated score. So to look at those results, there's another report we need to go to. And so that report is going to be under Manage Reports. So again, I'm on the home screen. Let me go back out here. To access that automated scoring report from the home screen, you select the application. And then once you get into the applications screen, you're going to go to Manage Reports. And then from Manage Reports, you're going to go to the automated scoring report here. And then once you click on the automated scoring report, you're going to come to the screen and you're going to maybe see it's blank like I have right now. In order to see scoring for automated score, it is done by specific fund. So here you do have to click on the funding pool that's going to be awarding the applicant. So I'm going to click on it. And then once you click on it, this will give you that report. And then over here, you're going to see a total score across all the questions that you've set up in automated scoring. Of course, for this specific fund, this application, I only picked one automated score. And so if I want to see what the details are for the score, I can come over here to view automated score report, and it's going to give me the question that they're being scored on, the annual operating budget, the answer they gave, and the score that they're being given for that reply. And of course, if you have multiple different scoring set up, automated scoring set up, then all of those will be listed as an individual line here with the question, their reply, and then what the score was for that. And then it'll tally it here in the total score. And then this report here, you notice you can't export it from here, but if I go back out and I go back to that first page we were on, I can export it here. And what's nice with this export is when you export it, it will give you all the details of how this individual score was compiled. So if there was 3 different questions that had scores created for them, then when I do the export to Excel, it's going to give me all of this information. It's going to say the question and the score, and then the next question and the score, and then so forth. It'll give me each question and the score that was done on each one, which is nice when you export it. So that's the automated scoring report. Now the final report we want to talk about, so we'll touch on this more when we get into the awarding in our next training that'll be coming up here soon, but when we get into the award training. But we'll just touch on it briefly because a lot of times the question comes up, how do I see the automated score with the task scores? Well, you can go here to the awards screen, here in awards, that awards section. And this is, you're managing awards one fund, of course. So this is one fund. And this is how you would see those together. And so here in this report, when you're awarding for one fund, you're going to notice an automated score here. And then next to it, you're going to see the score for the actual rubrics or tasks that were given and those scores that were created for that. And then, of course, this average score is picking up across all the reviewers that actually did the review. And that other one we're seeing, it was just the reviews, and it was averaging even on ones that didn't do the reviews. If they were 0, this one only averages based on the ones that have actually scored. So here we see here, and also this too is also based on this total score of all the tasks that are currently turned on. So that's how you see all of that together if you want to see them. And then of course you can export this to Excel and it'll give you the report with that as well. And then we'll touch on awarding more when we get into our next session on how to award applicants, which will be another training session that we have. Now, the final thing we want to talk about today, of course, is another report that you may want to run, and that's how to get ad hoc reports based on scoring tasks. So ad hoc reports are those reports that you can create reports based on every question within every section of the application form. And so also included with that, you can actually include the scoring tasks and the scores given for those as well. You can combine all that together to get your information, a report that has all the information you may want. So to create those reports, again, I'm going to go to my site here. I'm going to go back home. I guess I like to go all the way out and come back in so that you can kind of see the trail. I'm going to go to the application form. And then once we're in the application form, we're going to go to this tab here that says Manage Reports. And in Manage Reports is Ad Hoc Reports. Now, we will do another training on more details on how to create ad hoc reports if you're not familiar with this. But today we're just going to talk about real briefly how to create the scoring task, how to include that in your ad hoc report. So once you click on this ad hoc reports, you're here on the report screen. And when you're here on the report screen, you'll see all the reports that you have created. And I'm going to create a new report. And I'm going to give it a name. So this is my health review score. And I'm just going to put a 1 here in front of it so it comes to the front, hopefully. And then I want to make this visible for everyone that has access to this area. And then here is where I pick the areas that I want to include in my report. Where am I going to pull fields from to create this report? Remember, this is like an Excel spreadsheet. How am I creating those columns? So application data, I always include in my reports because that has the status, it has the submitted, when did they submit, and I want that in my reports. I like to see that. Section data is going to be every question of every answer that was created in each section, all those questions that the applicant saw. And then scorecard information is going to include the task cards, all the task cards that were created in my functionality. And then I'm going to hit save and next because that's all I want to create at this time. And then here's where I build the report. And so of course, when I hit this drop down, you're going to see there's application data. That's that area. Section data. That's all the sections that were active on the application form. And then scorecard information, it's only going to show me the scorecards that I have active. Remember, I kept this one active. So it's showing me the health review and the arts and education. So what I need to do now is build my report. What are the columns I want to see in my reports? Like I said, I like to have application data. So maybe I want status and maybe I want the date and time submitted as well. So I'm going to select those and pull those over. So that's all that was available that I want from that area. Then I'm going to go into section data, and then I'm going to say, okay, I know the items I want are in the organization information, and I'm going to go ahead and say I want to include the focus area because I want to make sure this is the health review. Maybe I want the project title, the budget total, and the amount requested. So I want those from the actual application form that they completed. And now I want to also include the scorecard, all the scores for the health review. So I'm going to select all and I'm going to move those over. And so now I have my columns for my report and I'm ready to go forward and hit save and next. I have all the items I want to be part of that report. Now the next screen I come to is where I do the filtering. So I'm saying now I only want the items, the applicants that were scored in the health review. So how can I filter this down that it only gives me that group of applicants? So I'm going to add a condition and I'm going to build this condition based on the scorecard because I only want the applicants that were part of this scorecard of health review. I don't want all my applicants, I just want those. So I'm going to go here to the report item to scorecard information. I'm going to go to the section name, which is all I have is scorecard information because that's the section scorecards. Here, the field is going to be the task. What's the name of the task that I want to filter on? And then I want it to be a task that equals, and then of course it equals the health review. So what I'm saying is only filter the results, give me those columns in this report, but filter the results based on all of the applicants that were reviewed in the health review. If I don't filter this, it's going to give me everything, and I don't want everything. I want to filter out just the health review and see what happened with that. I only want the scores for the health review because that's what this report's going to give me. And I'm going to go ahead and hit finish. And then once you hit finish, then you will see here you now have your report. And then you can come over here. I do see something here that I'm wondering if it's going to give me a report here. We'll see. And then I can hit the view. And then once you hit the review here, which is good, it's going to give me every applicant that was reviewed. Now, if they haven't done a review, then it will not put that reviewer's information here on this report. If they haven't started it, it won't have any data here, of course. It'll only give me the data of the reviews that have been started or done. So here, of course, now I have a nice report where I can see all the applicants in that review, and I can see every single score. I can actually see the reviewer that reviewed them, how they scored, and what was the final results for all of that. So that's what's nice with this report here. That's the report. And then you can export this to Excel, and then maybe you want to run totals on some things. You can do that as well. Now, one other thing I want to touch on in ad hoc reports when you're creating these reports, let's say I'm creating this report, I did my health review scoring, and you can clone reports and create the exact report for something else. But something that I see some of our clients do is maybe they want to do the health review scoring, and then they're done getting that report and they clone this. So they come here, they create a copy of this report, but they don't want health review scoring. They want to change the filtering to another one. So you notice as soon as I cloned it, it did this. So let's say I go in and I edit and I say, okay, I want this to be my arts and education. And then I have everything staying the same, and I come here, I want everything the same. And let's say the arts and education scorecard is exactly the same. However, I'm cloning this from the health review. So all of these questions that are here right now are from the health review. If I was to do this and run it and do my filter for my arts and education, all those scores are going to be blank because I've picked up the columns for the health review. So what you need to do, what happens is a lot of times here, if I go here to health review, you see this is all empty because there's no, right now I'm picking up over here the columns from the health review. If I go down here to arts and education, there's those questions, but this is where you want to use caution. You need to go to the health review first because you don't want to get confused as to which questions go which because they're all named the same. And then here you need to go in and remove all of the questions from the health review. Might be easier to go to select all and then keep the ones that aren't part of the review. Okay, so from A1 all the way down here to funding recommendation, those are all part of the health review. And so I need to take those and move those back into the health review. So now they're back over here in health review. Then I need to switch this to arts and education, select all, and move those questions over. Now I have the question replies for arts and education. So that's something that I find a lot of our clients, they forget to switch those out. And then when they go to get the report, they're not getting results. They're like, why am I not getting results? Because you didn't switch out the questions. And then of course, make sure you hit save and next to save what you just did, because otherwise it would revert back. And then when you come here, of course, make sure to filter now to filter for the arts and education, and then hit finish. And now you've got the correct one for arts and education. And then you can view that one, which I don't think I have any reviews. So this one should be blank, which it is. Okay. So that is the ad hoc reports. Now, if you do try to run a report and you're not getting data, a lot of times you need to hit this recreate reporting database, and then once that's done running, it'll send you an email, and then you can come in and it'll start pulling data once again. Okay, so that is all I had to show you. So we'll go ahead and do a final Q&A, see what Maureen's got in regards to questions, and then we can conclude the session. It's all yours, Maureen.
Thank you, Christine. Okay, we do have a question. It says, I do not want to see the scores of certain scorecards in my total and average scores. How do I stop from getting that? So I believe Christine had covered that question, but what you need to do is just disable, as Christine is showing us here. Under evaluations, on the task setup, that is where you're setting up your scorecard. Then you go to the specific scorecard, click on the scorecard name. Do not click on create or edit. Then click on, specific, just give me a second. Yep, click on the scorecard name and then remove from display on review reports, or yeah, at that time, because if you do want the review displayed, keep it available to your reviewers, you can definitely keep it available to your reviewers, but you want to disable it on reports. Okay. Thank you so much, Christine. So you will not be able to see that score come up. Can I get the total of the average of the automated score and the manual score? Currently, this functionality is not available, but if you do need help with that, please reach out to us. Christine, you were showing something under awards.
No, I was just going to show how you can get the two, but you're not getting the average. You're just getting the two together.
Yes,
You have to
yes,
export that and manually add it together.
yes. Yes, you have to do that manually. But if you do need help with that, do reach out to us. We'll talk about it. Okay. And there is one question. Is there a way? So this was the question that came up earlier in the first half of the session. Is there a way to see only the reviewer comments without going to the reviewer sheets? And I said that yes, you can do it through the reports. Well, all that you have to do is when you're creating a report, don't pull the information of all the other questions. Christine, can we go to the managed reports, please? When you're bringing in the information, can we just yeah, can we just display all reports? Yeah. Can we go cancel? Can we display all reports, because I have created one? Yes. And there is a reviewer comments report towards the end where you probably have created a report. Yeah, reviewer comments. Yes, if we go there, Christine, let's have a look at that. So what I've done is I've just pulled in information from the scorecard. That's it. Because if you notice, we do not need information from the other parts of the application. Then only the funding recommendation, that is the scoring comment, you need that information. Just pull that information into the ad hoc report. If you want to just apply any filters, such as bringing only under committee review applicants, you could do that. But for now, you only want to bring in the comments, you could create that report, and when you pull that information, you will get all the comments that your reviewers have entered. So let's try to have a look at that report, Christine. See, you get all the comments. Now, because the filter hasn't been applied, you can see all of the scores, etc. But if you wish to add a filter that says only pull applicants that have been submitted or under committee review, that's it. But if you also notice, the scores do come through. That will be helpful to you. The scores of the average score and the total score and the automated score will still come through. Okay, and if you do not want that, disable it. As Christine has shown, you not want to see that information, disable it on the task setup screen. I hope I have answered your question. That's it, Christine, from my side. Thank you, everyone. Back to you. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, and thank you so much, Maureen. So, of course, like always, if you get the copy of the handout, the resources are available there for you to access them. And those are always nice because those actually give you the links to all of the different topics that we covered today. And those links will go into more detail on how to do certain functionalities. And so, of course, also, I think there was a question in regards to creating user accounts. We did go ahead and leave that in here as one of the last slides, setting up your reviewer accounts, how to do that, and then how to get to the the training guides that talk about how to do that as well, just as a nice reference for you to have in these resources. So make sure to go right now to that handout if you haven't, and go ahead and download it before we close the session for today. And then, of course, we thank everyone for attending today's session. And if there's anything we covered, maybe you want to have a little bit more detail in regards to your processes and how it might function for you, you can always enter a support ticket on Zendesk by going to Zendesk and entering that support ticket. If you're an admin and you have an account, you can do that. And then request a meeting time with one of our client support specialists to go over some of your functionality, or maybe maybe you want some more assistance on one of the specific areas here, and then ask that in that support ticket, and then someone will reach out from our client support specialist team and contact you in regards to getting something set up for you. So we do appreciate all of you taking time out of your busy schedules to come and visit and sit through our training today. We really appreciate all your questions that you have. It's always nice to have questions so we can get feedback from you as to where you may be having trouble points and using the system. And it always helps us be able to build on our next training session so that we can cover those topics as well for everyone. So we thank you all again, and we hope you all have a wonderful week. And then we'll be letting you know shortly what our next training, I know our next training will be April 22nd. And if you're a scholarship user and you have a one-to-many application process, we'll be going over how to manage the results when it's a one-to-many. It's a little bit different than the one-to-one, but that'll be on April 22nd. We'll be doing that. So everyone have a good day, and we'll go ahead and close the session. Thank you so much, and bye.